Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talking Star Wars EU. Today, I have one of my best friends in the fandom on with me. It's Cspyder, also known as Liam. His channel and everywhere you can find him will be linked in the description. He's been on the channel a lot of times, so if you followed the channel, you'll recognize him from like a dozen live streams. And we also met up in person, so you'll recognize him from that video as well. We also did a video about like a weird mixed up copy of Shatterpoint, I think it was. So you recognize him from a lot of videos. Thank you for coming on today to talk about how you got into the expanding universe. Really appreciate you taking the time and happy to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
It's always great to have you on. It's been really fun to do all these videos with you over the last year or so. Always enjoy having you on. But the first question that I ask in all of these videos, because I stick to my formula, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the first question I have to ask of you is, what is your first memory of Star Wars? What was your first encounter with the Star Wars universe?
Ooh. Let me think about that, because I got to go back to when I was a youngin. I was
a youngling, like the kind that Anakin likes to kill.
I hope not. I think I've moved on from that. I managed to escape just in time.
Good.
I was probably, I think, 4 or 5 years old the first time that I had ever watched a Star Wars film. I believe it was the original trilogy. I'd watched that, but you know, when I was a kid, I never really remembered much about Star Wars. It kind of wasn't until I got a little older I started getting more into it. You know, I always got like lightsabers. I always got like the toys and stuff for Christmas.
Nice.
So I still have like a full box in my room of just Star Wars action figures. Over the years, I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff, but I'm like, no, I'm keeping that stuff. So
of course,
I still have a lot of that.
So you interacted with those movies first, and then the toys as well.
Oh yeah, big fan of that stuff. Still, I like to collect it.
Yeah, it's super fun. Did you instantly like feel a kind of connection to it? Instantly, kind of a love of the universe.
Yeah, but I think it didn't really truly connect with me until I became more of like a teenager. Back then, it was more of just like, just like the lightsabers. You know, I always wanted to be like Luke Skywalker, that sort of thing. But it kind of wasn't until I actually started thinking about the actual story and the characters when I got a little older. Because back then, I didn't really understand it very well. But certainly, it's certainly grew and grew, and there are like several different things that kind of formed a catalyst that kind of got me into Star Wars and especially the EU.
Yeah. Well, and can you talk about that catalyst? How did you start to get into the expanded universe beyond just those Star Wars movies?
Oh man, so it started out when Disney bought Star Wars back in 2014, and so they started making the movies. And so I decided to get back into Star Wars again. I was like, it's all right. And then as I started getting a little older, I started getting a little more critical of it. And then by the time Rise of Skywalker came out, I was just like, what the heck is going on? I was like, there's no way that this is happening. This is not how Star Wars is supposed to be. I hate this. You know. Obviously, if you're a Disney canon fan out there, I don't hate you. Just a disclaimer. I just don't like the movies.
Yeah.
You guys can have your stuff. I'm just saying. I was not a fan of those movies. And then I kind of got a little turned off of Star Wars for a little bit. But
oh yeah.
Then one day I was going through Books a Million. Oh boy. Wasn't this in particular? I'm very proud to have this. I love the hardcover so much. But I found Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. I actually have a picture of it still that you could probably edit in somehow later on.
Yep.
Of my original copy that I have sitting on the shelf with like my small collection of books at the time. That copy I don't even know where it's at, to be honest. It's probably somewhere in a box, but you and I utterly destroyed that copy. I'll get
It,
more on that later.
it might be a
But
little worse for wear.
just a little bit, just a little bit. Just yeah, a very teeny tiny bit. But so I saw that and I saw this Legends banner and I was like, what the heck is that about? Because I that doesn't make sense to me. There were all these other books without the Legends banner. And so I take it over to my dad. He's like, "Oh, that's from the expanded universe." Well, I'm like, "Well, what's that?" He's like, "Oh, well, back then they were making books and comics just in the same universe. And this was kind of the stuff before Disney." So I was like, "Okay, that's kind of cool," because I had been getting into reading books for about a year or two before then. I started reading a little bit. Um, I loved like the Tom Clancy books and like the classics and stuff. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I didn't like the movies, but maybe the Star Wars books will be good. Why not? I'll give
Yeah.
it a shot. Oh boy. That was this book I did not like. I did not like this at all. It was horrible. It was so awful, but
So almost immediately, your hope of getting into the Star Wars expanding universe was almost squandered from the jump.
instantly, yes. But I
So tell
have
us
you to
why
thank.
are you why are you here with us today?
It's definitely um, mostly because of you and everybody else out there in the fandom. It was kind of random. I was just like looking up on YouTube like Star Wars Legends books or something like that. I don't even remember what I put in the search bar, but like one of your live streams came up. It was you and Marcel were ranking all the Star Wars novels.
Yeah.
And so for some reason, I don't know why, but I commented on it and
There were
then you
like
commented back
26
like
replies to it.
instantly. Yeah, it was just a
Yeah.
chain, and then we moved over to Instagram. And yeah, that's kind of I pretty much met everybody all of that same day. And yeah, I don't think I would have kept reading the EU if it weren't for all of you guys out there. So thank you, Brandon, and thank you everybody else out there too. I really appreciate you guys being so supportive because
The community stopped you from just leaving.
yeah, I was about ready to stop reading Star Wars if
How
it weren't for you guys.
how many weeks or months did it take to try to read that first book?
Oh, so I read the first two chapters and I was already dying inside. I could just feel the knife turning and twisting in my stomach. It was excruciating. My brain was leaking out of my ears. It was just, it was just awful.
You were so shocked at what you were reading.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, of course.
But
So it was really a shaky start to say the least. But you mentioned that your father had been the one to tell you that there was this like universe of books and comics before Disney. Had he been a fan back in the day? And what was your initial reaction to hearing that there was like a connected universe of multiple pieces of media?
well, I was really really excited about that because I mean, I didn't know that Star Wars was this big. I mean, I think up to this point, the only other thing that I just am now remembering that I should have mentioned earlier was The Force Unleashed and also Battlefront Elite Squadron, and I think just Battlefront games in general. That also kind of helped form that love for the EU. I didn't know that it was the expanded universe at the time, but my dad was telling me he was like, "Well, you've already gotten into the EU." I'm like, "I have?" He's like, "Yeah, you remember playing The Force Unleashed?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize that's what that was." So it all connects
Yeah,
together, the books and the video games and everything. I was like, "Wow."
yeah.
So it really got me interested. There's this big, huge tie-in universe that all fits together.
Yeah, it's really really neat. So you had this initial interest, was almost squandered by Dawn of the Jedi, which is understandable, as we've talked about many times before. But the community kind of pulled you back in. Where did you go from there, and why are you now an EU fan today, despite that massive disappointment early on in your journey?
Well, I think it was because of some of the amazing authors out there. There were a lot of really great books that I was getting into because I this book obviously I'm not gonna bash it any more than I should because I've said way too much about it already. But um, I'm trying to think, what are some good books? Um, the Darth Bane trilogy was really good. I read that. That was one of the
Yeah,
first books I read after Dawn of the Jedi because I was really into like the Old Republic. I
yeah.
had read some of the other Old Republic books. I was like, whoa, Darth Bane, that's freaking awesome. You know, there's something about Bane's character. It's just like it's so much. So it's so different than like Darth Vader. It
Mm,
was cool to see another Sith who was just as cool and just super powerful. It was great the way it was written. It was so amazing. The first book especially, like the pacing, it is amazing. You cannot put that book down. There's not a single
absolutely.
bad moment in there. It's just like action, action, action right in your face.
Yeah.
So that was really good.
So that was like the
Um,
first step in restoring your faith there, in
oh
the
yeah.
EU. And so where did you go from the Darth Bane trilogy?
Ooh, I kind of flipped around a little bit. There were a lot of different points. I didn't want to go chronologically because I knew this was garbage. But so I was thinking, well, I really love Revenge of the Sith. It's my favorite movie. So if I can pull it out here without knocking everything over. 1 second. Um, get over here. So I read this front to back in literally 1 day. I stayed up till 1 a.m. reading this. And I
Nice.
called you guys. I think it was you, Pico, and probably a couple other people in there. I called you guys immediately right after finishing this because my mind was blown. This is amazing. This is like 1,000,000,000 times better than the movie. Matthew Stover is a genius. He is amazing. And whenever I go to Legends Con, this is getting signed by the man himself, 100%.
Definitely.
Ah, I love this book so much. There's so many great scenes in it. It's perfect.
And it has scenes that aren't in the movie that change that don't change stuff from the movie, but add to it. Do you enjoy all of those changes like quite a lot? You enjoy the building upon the movie?
Absolutely. It makes Anakin's turn to the dark side so much better.
Yeah,
It's a lot of the dialogue between Anakin and Palpatine is it's amazing. There's so much added stuff. There's a lot of really great changes to it. Um, really just every scene. I can't think of a single scene where it's just boring. It's not. It's all excellent. You're in it the entire time throughout all the dialogue. It's just
yeah.
like I wanna keep hearing more because Palpatine, he's like a mastermind. He's tempting Anakin. Oh man, there's so many great scenes in that book. I love it. I love it to death. I think probably what's my favorite scene? Oh, that's so hard to choose, but I think I know what it is actually. Let me pull it up because it's the very end of the book. Um, I'm sorry, I'm really excited. I get really excited when talking about the Revenge of the Sith novelization.
I
Here
remember
is it.
getting
It's
like pages upon pages of your review sent to me. It was great. It was just an outpouring of absolute love for the book. Very a lot of enthusiasm that just made me appreciate the book even more as well.
oh yeah. So I'll probably just read this because I don't think the camera is gonna pick it up very well. But my favorite line is the very ending of the book. It's one I think a lot of EU fans probably are familiar with, but it's the dark is generous and it is patient and it always wins. But in the heart of its strength lies weakness. One lone candle is enough to hold it back. Love is more than a candle. Love can ignite the stars. I love that so much.
Such a good
It
line.
was the perfect ending to the book. After that's the scene right before that is also really amazing, where it's like something that Matthew Stover does throughout the book. He has like these second person sections where it's like, this is what it's like to be like, Anakin Skywalker or Mace Windu, or
Yeah.
it's really great because at the end you get to kind of see what's going on in Anakin's mind as he's becoming Darth Vader. And
Yeah.
it is brilliant. It is amazing how he writes it. I think that everybody out there should honestly go read this. If you've not read this, you've got to read this book. It is that good. I'm telling you. Especially if you're a really big fan of Revenge of the Sith, it's so good.
It's probably the best movie novelization. I'd say it's phenomenal. As you've been making your way through the EU, would you say it's your favorite expanding universe novel, or is there anything that dethrones it?
Well, it was. I think it's still probably my favorite novel, but I've read some really good ones though. I'm sure there's going to be something that tops it at some point. I know everybody's been telling me about the new Jedi Order. Thankfully, no spoilers, but like they've been telling me how amazing it is. So I'm sure something in there might top it one day. One thing that I really, really hope for, I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but I really hope that they bring Ghost Anakin back in that series, or in Legacy of the Force, or maybe in Fate of the Jedi or something. That would be super cool. Because I remember in the Truce at Makura he showed up, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. So I wonder if he'll come back sometime. I know Obi-Wan is sadly gone after I read the Thrawn trilogy, which was also amazing.
What did you What did you think of the Thrawn trilogy?
It was like mind blowing. It's like second to Matthew Stover. Timothy Zahn is also my favorite Star Wars author. He gets the characters. He gets them
Yeah.
better than anybody else. It feels like the original trilogy when you're reading it. It's the perfect like episode 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
It He hits all the notes everywhere. That everything that you need in an equation for the perfect Star Wars story, he's got it. Even the new
Yeah.
characters are all really nuanced and interesting. I love Mara
Definitely.
Jade, Helen Card, even some of the more more irritating characters like Borsk Phalia and oh man, Borsk Phalia. Oh man, I've seen so many memes about him on Instagram of some people posting memes about how everybody hates the Bothans.
Yep. Yeah.
I understand why now.
Truly despicable man, but just fascinating to read about, for sure. In addition to the books that you were reading, what are some comics that you've read so far in the EU?
So I'm just recently getting into the comics. I haven't read too many, but that's something that's going to change here very soon. I recently read Dark Empire, which was super awesome. Just like with the Thrawn trilogy, it really captured that Star Wars epicness. It perfectly continues that story. Um, I really liked a lot of the stuff in it, like Luke falling to the dark side.
Yeah.
That was super cool. There's so many great moments. Like I love. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling some of the stuff from these books and
Go for
comics,
it.
but like I love the ending where Han Solo, all he's thinking about is his children and Leia. He shoots the Emperor, no hesitation, over the Emperor's dead body.
Yeah.
I it was such a great moment for Han's character because he will do anything for Leia and the kids. It's great. And then earlier on in Dark Empire 1, I remember he was about to fight Luke because when Luke fell to the dark side, it's like, I'm gonna shoot you, farm boy. I can't remember what he said. I just remember he calls him farm boy. I just thought that was super funny.
Yeah, it was great. So some people criticize Dark Empire as like not a worthy successor to the Thrawn trilogy, but do you see that argument, or would you say it's definitely worthy? You seem to enjoy it quite a bit.
I think it's definitely a worthy continuation.
Yeah,
Um, it doesn't. I mean, I can see. I think where people are coming from because they don't really mention Thrawn really, other than like the opening crawl for Dark Empire One. So
yeah,
I guess if they're coming off of that standpoint, I get that. But personally, I think the story is great. It really pushes that narrative forward really well. And of course, you get the birth of Anakin Solo, who
yep,
I'm sure I will grow to love at some point. Um,
yeah.
I've I've I don't know what book it is, but I've unfortunately been spoiled that he does die eventually. Thanks, Dad. So if you happen to watch this, thank you so much for that once again, along with Chewbacca as well. Thank you guys, thank you, Mom and Dad, for not black. They just all they do, even before I got into the expanded universe, all they blab is about they killed Chewbacca. I'm sure it's sad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I want Chewbacca to die. I'm sure it's heartbreaking and all that. But like at the same time, did you have to spoil me that?
I have
Like
the
why?
I have the 3 or 4 pages of the death on my phone, like saved to my phone photo reel.
Really?
Whenever I like feel like I need to be sad or let stuff out, I'll like actually just like open it up and read it, and it gets me every time, like every time.
That's how powerful Star Wars books are.
Yeah,
That's how when they're written by the right person. That's how they can be some gems.
absolutely, absolutely. And the right person is Tim Levin.
Brandon,
Just kidding.
why you do this to me?
Just kidding, just kidding. But you've also read stuff like Red Harvest, played stuff like The Force Unleashed. You've jumped around through the EU, through a lot of stuff. Do you have any other thoughts regarding some of these other stories that you'd been reading, stuff you'd gotten into, criticisms, complaints, or praise to any other stories?
Um, let's see here. What's a good one I can think of? Um, I mentioned the Truce of Bakura earlier. I enjoyed that one. I think that one gets a lot of flack, which I'm
It
not sure
does.
why. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, me too.
Um, it's captures that Return of the Jedi feeling, but it also it incorporates this new threat, these Sirook, I
Yeah.
think they're called. I know there's like different ways of saying there's like Siruvi. I don't remember how that all works with
You say it the way I say it, but yeah, there's some different like names for them and stuff like that. Yeah,
but I always thought that was really cool, and I like how you kind of got to see the book from all the different perspectives, and you have like part of the Empire and Rebellion working together. It was so
mm.
cool. I was one thing I've noticed though is that man, Luke Luke is really he's a player, you know. He's really getting it on with well, not getting it on like that, but like he's always making out with all sorts of women.
He is. Yeah. Have you seen the meme of the meme of like the woman like looking at the man who's looking at the other woman? That
Yes,
someone did a Luke edit with like all of the women that Luke has like flirted with, and it's like
I have
15
that
or
saved to my phone. It's in my
yeah.
favorites on my camera roll.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true.
I've not read all of the books and comics where he's gotten with all these people, but he's got through a lot so far out of the stuff I've read. I think in total, if I'm remembering correctly, he's gotten with 12 women, including his own sister in that list before Mara Jade, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
How do you have like Jeez.
For a farm boy, he's got an X factor to him, I guess.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I don't know much about Courtship of Princess Leia, but I've heard some things that he gets with somebody else in there too, from what I've heard. I
Yeah.
think what's her name? I've not been introduced to her, but like I know of her. I think her
Ten
name's like
ten
Tenel Ka Tenanil.
her yeah, Tenniel Joe, her mother. Yeah.
Oh, okay, her mother. Yeah,
Yeah.
she. Even when I look at it spelled out, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's such a weird name.
Yeah, there's some
It's like Tenanil.
yeah, it's
I don't
Tenniel.
know.
Yeah. There's some weird pronunciations out there for sure. But in regards to the video games, you mentioned that you really liked the Battlefront games as a kid and Force Unleashed. Um,
Yes.
what other video games in the EU have you enjoyed, and do you still enjoy those now as a teenager, or were they
Oh
only stuff you
yeah,
liked as a kid?
absolutely.
Yeah,
So there, I can't find all my games because they're all like I have like totes of stuff just
yeah.
packed away. But I found a few that I had just lying around that I thought I'd show just because they're some of my favorites. This one is a real childhood pleasure of mine. This one I love dearly.
Yep.
Battlefront Elite Squadron.
X1 and X2 are amazing.
So underrated. The story is amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good one.
and of course, have the Force Unleashed 2.
Nice.
This one I'm actually playing right now. Playing Jedi Academy.
That's my favorite Star Wars game of all. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome because I'm really enjoying it. It's super fun. It's unlike anything I've ever played.
Yeah, it's a really fun game.
And then, of course, I gotta mention these because these are like overall the community's favorites. I think are the KOTOR games.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the only way you can play these games for consoles on Xbox. So
Yeah. I have
got
Jedi Academies on Switch. But
ooh,
yeah.
I forgot they have a Switch
Oh
port
yeah,
for that.
and KOTOR's on there now too as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I've been playing through them recently. Yeah, they're super fun games. Do you think the video games add a lot of important story to the lore of the EU?
Absolutely. There's I think a lot of things that people skip over. I understand that not everybody's a gamer, but there's certainly a handful of games out there that I think. I mean, all the games add stuff to the story, of course, but
Yeah.
there's definitely a certain like handful of games that are like super duper important.
That
Um,
are essential. Yeah.
yeah, essential. These would definitely be on like the essential for me,
Yeah.
especially the KOTOR games. They add so much.
Truly, truly do. So much lore, so many connections. They're important. They're very important. Via the novels, comics, and video games so far, what would you say is your favorite media? If you had to pick one that you've enjoyed, like getting to engage with the universe the most.
I gotta say, I think the novels. There's just reading for me is just I, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like it's a different world. You get so much more out of reading, I think, than
Yeah.
playing a game or watching a movie or something like that because not only do you get to envision it how you would, but when you have a really great author who puts in all these great details, you get more in touch with the characters, the world building. It's all so much better when it's in a novel, and I really really do enjoy a lot of the Star Wars novels that I've read so far, for sure.
Definitely, definitely. You mentioned earlier that like you wouldn't still be engaging with the EU if it weren't for the community, perhaps. Do you think that community and fandom is important to the world? Do you think it enhances your enjoyment of the material?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that I mean I would still enjoy Star Wars, but I think I wouldn't enjoy it near as much as I do if I didn't have like good friends like you and a lot of other people in these various servers that I can talk
Yeah,
to about this stuff, because it's really great when you have a really wholesome community that you can talk to about this stuff and engage with, because that's what really keeps these stories alive. It's when you keep talking about them, and most importantly, of course, enjoying them, all that stuff. It's really something different when you have someone to share it with. It's always fantastic when you have people to um what's the word I'm looking for?
converse with, talk about it with.
Yeah, it's always fun to nerd out about Star Wars. I think that
Yeah.
having a fandom to rally behind is great, and I love these stories, and I really enjoy being a part of this fandom. So thank you guys for all being super cool. By the way, everybody out in Star Wars EU land, Legends, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
It's a truly great, pretty warm community. Just everyone pretty much is just so nice. It's really rewarding. I likewise really enjoy getting to be a part of it. Another facet though of your EU journey is you have the most insane luck ever when it comes to collecting. You could go out to just any
Yeah,
random store and come back with like so many cool finds. You have accumulated in like 2 years, like almost as much as I've accumulated in like seven. You just go to all these stores and find insane bargains, insane deals on rare stuff. So maybe the area you're at is like a black hole vacuum where EU material gets sucked into there and
possibly.
just ends up there. Or maybe the fans in your area hate the EU and sold it as soon as they got it. Who knows? But you have had some amazing finds. Do you think collecting enhances your enjoyment of the material? What have you enjoyed so much about collecting? The thrill of the hunt, going out to these stores. What do you enjoy so much about that?
That definitely the thrill of the hunt for sure. I love just going and see all these. It doesn't even have to be like a bookstore per se. Like I'll go into a Goodwill and I'll see
Yeah.
like ten different young adult novels. Like I'll see Jedi Apprentice, like the episode 1 adventures, Boba Fett books, all sorts of crazy stuff. I think a lot of people skip over those type of stores. I gotta say, if you're looking for collecting Star Wars, don't pass up any of these other stores. Go to flea markets. Go to I mean, I found Star Wars Expanded Universe at my church. Literally, I I have a picture. If you don't, I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to tell through the picture. So it's I just take a picture of the book itself, but just trust me, bro. I it's everywhere. If you just it's just look at all those nooks and crannies, and you will find Expanded Universe. Or I don't know, just move to Indiana. I don't know what else to tell you. That's if you want to know my top secret like EU collecting guide, I might have to make a guide at some point. I don't know. It's just yeah, that's it. No, I'm gonna stick with that. Move to Indiana, people. That's what you need to do. Just forget everything else I said. It's all here. This is where the expanded universe stuff is. I don't
Seemingly,
know why.
it seems like you could
It's
throw a rock
out
and hit
here.
an EU book there. You know, they're just
Yeah,
everywhere. You're like always like almost at least every week it seems like you're like, oh yeah, I found more stuff, and then there's just a picture of like a bunch of stuff. It's insane. It's amazing. But with that comes some problems, as you've been running
oh
into a
yeah.
little bit as of late, and that's storage. So do you think EU fans kind of run into the problem of where to keep all their stuff eventually?
Um, just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit. I mean, I have currently like 3 or 4 totes stacked up in my room right next to the door. As soon as you walk in, it's just boxes of expanded universe stuff that I've not even touched since I got it. And even my shelf over there, I have books upon books stacked upon each other. You can't even see what all is on there because there's just stuff covering. It's a complete mess. It's just piles of stuff. It's it's in a way it's a little bit of a travesty. I I have this collection that I've built up, and I can't even look at it without digging through boxes of stuff.
Yeah.
But I eventually whenever I move, because I want to, we're hoping to move here sometime soon. Maybe in the future I'll get some more shelves eventually.
Yeah, it's a good
See,
problem to have.
hopefully,
Too much EU stuff for a shelf is a
yes,
good
it
problem to
is
have. Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
Earlier you mentioned Legends Con and wanting to get out for that. Are you hopefully going to
Yes,
make a Legends Con in the future? Do you plan on attempting to go to the next one or one of the future ones?
I really want to so badly. It mostly depends on timing and also the location. If
Yeah,
it's in Burbank again, I probably won't be able to go. But if it's more towards like central United States, or even if it's on the eastern side, which would be awesome, I will hopefully try to go if I can.
yeah.
I don't know. Are there any like plans? Do you know if they're gonna be going
They,
anywhere anytime soon?
they've announced that it'll be in 2025, and they've announced that it'll be uh, in that year next year. But they haven't announced an official venue yet. But hopefully
Ooh.
that'll be coming soon.
I really hope it's somewhere near Indiana. If so, I will 100% be attending.
Yeah,
Um I really
and
hope to go.
I'd love to see you again as well. Which brings up something else that we could talk about, which is last year we made a video because we met up, even though we live quite far apart. The stars kind of aligned. We were driving by your area, and so we were able to meet up. It was really fun. We recorded a video for your channel,
Ah,
which we'll talk about, and we recorded a video for my channel as well. We exchanged books. I have my copy right here. That was originally yours.
I
Um,
have mine sitting on my shelf over there, although you can't see it. It's buried. I think it's like it's like buried underneath Bounty Hunter Wars or something. I can't really see it.
and yeah, it was
And we
just
and we
after
signed
Legends
it.
Con last year. Yeah, we signed each other's books. It was really cool. It was really fun. We had pizza. It was delicious. And
Love Pizza King.
your kind father was covered the check for us that day. So thank you to him for getting us pizza. That was wonderful of him. And it was a
I'll
great
let him
time
know.
getting to talk. It was a great time getting to talk. So that was really fun.
Oh yeah, that was probably the highlight of my year. I'm not gonna lie. That was super duper fun. Oh, also, this is a completely random side question. I could maybe this is just me being completely ignorant of the other states in this country, but is Pizza King just like an Indiana thing? Because
It,
you guys
I
you
had
guys
never had it.
apparently had not been to Pizza King.
I had not had it. I know it was in Ohio too, though, because I think my mom had it back in the
Oh,
day,
okay.
but I had never been. So it might, I think it might be pretty regional though, to maybe like the Midwest.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was a little shocked, to be honest, when you said you never had Pizza King. I was like, really?
Yeah, yeah, it was really good. It was really good pizza and really good, really good time. It was fun. It was really fun. We went out into the parking lot with my brother, who Matt Wilkins says doesn't exist, and he filmed the videos for us. We beat up Dawn of the Jedi. It was a fun time. Really glad that we were able to meet up. It was really great. A highlight for sure for me as well for last year. It's just kind of nice to get to meet up with like people that you talk with online sometimes, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that was super awesome. Also, I just want to there's that conspiracy that you mentioned with your brother. I want to make it clear to everybody that he doesn't exist. I know Brennan just said a moment ago that he exists, but I'm telling you, I was there. I did not see any trace of Brennan's brother whatsoever. I don't know what he's talking about. So I just want to make that I want to make that clear. I don't know what's going on, but I just from my own personal experience, I have not met Brennan's brother, so I don't
You're
just
just
keep
throwing
that
that out
going.
there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we film with the tripod, not a person. Yeah.
yeah. The
Yeah.
tripod, I don't know how it moved, but it did. It was a very technologically advanced tripod.
Yeah, another highlight from that was when you drop kicked Dawn of the Jedi. That was really funny. You just like dropped it and went, pow!
Yeah. It had some airtime to it.
It
It
did. It
was
was an impressive, like football style kickoff.
that hurt my foot really badly.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great moment, and we played catch with it as well. And
Yes.
yeah, it was
You want
a
me to? I can try to find it real quick if you want me to. I
yeah.
can go find the
Go
book.
for it if you'd like.
It'll
Yeah,
probably only take me a sec.
but there
Oh
it
boy.
is. The fabled
Look at that
copy.
spine.
It went through a
Oh my
war zone.
gosh. It should look you could see from it hitting the concrete or whatever
Yeah,
that was.
the blacktop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I was
Let me
looking
try to
for.
crush a fly that's on my. Hello, are you there? Okay.
Hello there.
Sorry, I just.
Well, if only I could pass you Dawn of the Jedi, it'd be the perfect fly swatting thing.
Yeah, it would be. My camera's not going back. Okay, there we go.
There
I
it is.
just like a fly landed on my keyboard, and I just shut the. I shut it really quick, hoping that it would squash it, but it evaded capture for now. But yeah, Dawn of the Jedi would be perfect to bash the
Wow.
fly with.
This
Yeah,
is
there.
this
That's
is
a lot of damage. Flex tape couldn't fix that.
this is wow. This is the first time that I'm actually looking at this since we filmed that video. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm in awe. I I have not seen the paperback version of this in a while.
Yeah, it's
It's
pretty destroyed there.
the destruction. It's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. The carnage from that video. Perhaps we told ourselves we should and didn't stop to think or however that goes. You know the meme that I'm talking about. That the Jeff Goldblum meme from Jurassic Park where it's like
Yes.
those scientists never never asked if they could rather than if they should or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But
See if we
yeah,
can
it was a fun
find.
video. It was a fun video.
Okay, so this is. Oh man, I'm rereading the ending because I was trying to remember how Dal got killed. Wow, this is still just as lame as the first two times I read it. Wow! Dal's eyes flooded red, blood ran from his ears and nose, and then he was still. Amazing.
Truly, truly poetic. Uh, but
That.
in spite of
Oh.
that sort of content that you haven't enjoyed in the EU, there's been clearly a lot of there's been clearly a lot of stuff that you do enjoy. What are your thoughts on continuation? Would you like to see the expanding universe continue as sort of
Yes!
yeah
100%! 1,000%! More than 100. I absolutely want to see the EU continue. I would even take more Dawn of the Jedi books. I don't care. Give me more expanded universe.
yeah you'd be willing
That's
to
all I
get more
want.
bad stuff? Like you'd be willing to take the risk if it was bad, you'd still take it.
100%.
Yeah,
1,000%. I mean,
yeah,
lots of people out there are saying, "Well, don't Disney's just gonna ruin." I don't, dude. If Disney's going to ruin it for you, you don't have to buy it. At least let everybody else have the books.
yeah,
We need more EU. I don't care what it's gonna be like. If we get more EU, that's the goal.
yeah.
Or I guess I actually kind of agree with one of the videos you made recently on the Legends banner, getting more
Mm.
legends as
Yeah,
well. That
yeah,
that that'll definitely help. Asking for more legends.
definitely. Hopefully, I'd love to see continue as you've
Me
gotten
too.
more into the books. Has it made it even sadder that the EU is discontinued? Has it made you want
Yes.
more, even more? Like, has it made you more sad for what's kind of been lost?
After I read the Thrawn trilogy, I was like, well, dang. Well, that's just one step closer to the end.
Yeah,
I after there's this is one less story that I'm never gonna not know because I know that once I finish the EU, I'm done with it. Like all they there really needs to be new stories.
yeah,
We need this continuation because there's so many points in the Star Wars galaxy where you can tell stories. There are like 100 and 1,000 year gaps between the timelines.
yeah,
There's all this stuff even back further in the BBY years that you could expand upon, like with, of course, the Dawn of the Jedi stuff. But enough about Dawn of the Jedi. Bad example. No, actually, that's a good example. I shouldn't say bad example. That's a good example. This is personal preference, but yeah, um, there like there's the huge gap between Crucible and Legacy.
yep,
There's even when there's not like these giant huge year gaps, you can still tell more stories about other characters. Like there's lots of really great characters you can tell about in like the Rebellion era or the Dark Times era. I love that's one of my favorite ones. Is the time
yeah,
between episodes 3 and 4. There's like not as far as like books go, there's really not that much. There's like the Coruscant Nights trilogy, which I've been dying to read. I'm sure I'll get to that eventually. Um, that's really about it, other than some other comic books with like the Vader comics and
yeah,
all that stuff. There, there's just like so much left to tell. It's just like more EU. You
yep.
know?
Absolutely, totally agree. Totally agree. You started an expanded universe focused channel, expanded universe and gaming. You have a couple videos on there. You had a few that I thought were really good, but are now lost to the Charnel worlds, banished to the ether of the Sith.
Yeah.
They're gone. But you have some good videos up. And can you tell us what your inspiration for starting the channel was? And can you tell us any future ideas, future stuff that you'd like to promote on there? I know there's a Supernatural Encounters unboxing in the pipeline, among some other stuff.
Yep. That should hopefully be coming out here soon. Um, I'm gonna go through the entire expanded universe chronologically as best I know how. No, I'm kidding. I'm not Matt Wilkins, but I'm gonna try. I'm trying to decide. Do I keep going on with the Dawn of the Jedi comics, or do I start with Tales of the Jedi? I don't know. I'm a little about Dawn of the Jedi, but I've heard the comics are actually really good though. I've read the first issue of Dawn of the Jedi, the comic series. It is actually really really good. So I might do the comics still.
Yeah,
But I'm just glad that I have the the first book done. So that's done forever.
yeah,
Um, I if I ever get to the point where I'm doing rereads, I don't know if that might be the one thing that I skip. I'm sorry. I need to just shut up about Dawn of the Jedi for the rest of this. I've talked about it way too much. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna start reviewing Tales of the Jedi here soon. I
nice.
just read Golden Age of the Sith. That was really good. I'm really excited to see where it goes next because
Mm,
I my guess is that Naga Stav is probably gonna end up killing Ludo Crash here soon. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. I know I'm gonna get into like Ulick Keldroma's story. I've heard a lot about lot about that guy. The cover art, by the way, just the art in general, and those comic books are great.
so good,
They're just
so good.
really great. Dave Dorman, the cover art, it is just it's beautiful. That
Truly.
that that stuff is really good.
It's truly amazing, and if you could catch up on reading Tales of the Jedi, my friend Brady is going through like all the comics on live streams, and we're reviewing them all together on Fine Editions channel. He has
That's really
himself
cool.
and Sam, Marcel, Scott Johnson, and myself, Boris, sometimes Alex or Tuck West. I'm sure he'd be glad to have another face on. If you could catch up and get to where we're at, I think we're on the Frieden Nad Uprising will be one of the next ones that we do. So if you can catch up, I'm
I
sure
can
he'd
catch
love to
up,
have you on.
maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. The Tales of the Jedi comics are just so fun. Something else that you checked out recently was the Star Wars Holiday Special, and you told me that you
Oh
have
boy.
thoughts on it to talk about.
Yeah, I actually would like to forgive Tim Levin just a slight bit because that is not the worst thing in Star Wars. Not it's not Dawn of the Jedi. It's the Star Wars Holiday Special. What in the world? It's like the way I could describe it in one sentence is like George Lucas fever dream. That's like is it's
Well,
just like I don't even know how to describe it other than that. It's so weird.
did you enjoy any aspect of it?
Uh I'm trying I'm honestly trying to think back to um uh well um I don't think so. I I think I it was I I'm at a loss for words. It's like there's so many weird things about it. I
Yeah,
think it was filmed like right after Mark Hamill got into the car accident because he was caked with makeup. He looked like he was like on crack or something. That was that was so weird. His stare into my soul. Oh gosh, there's like a GIF that you can find. Is it GIF or GIF? I never know.
GIF. I say GIF.
Okay, there's a GIF you can find of Mark Hamill from the holiday special. It is so creepy to just see him staring at you. It's just like he's eating your soul.
What did you
It
think
is
of Chewbacca's family in there as well?
um that was probably the best part about it. It was weird, but I think it was more or less the other people around like that I don't even remember his name. But there's that old guy that came
Trader
over.
Zondan, yeah.
It was mostly the people around that kind of made the whole situation weird, but the family itself that was nice. That was nice. I like that.
Completely concur. It's
Um,
really cool because the EU took those characters and continued to use them. Like that Chewbacca's family shows up in like Legacy of the Force and the Marvel comics. It's just really neat.
that's really cool. I like how it even in something as horrifying as the holiday special, it keeps continuity and consistency, which is really giving it a compliment. Because I mean,
Absolutely.
that's there really was no story to that movie. It was like one of those old like 80s variety shows
Yeah,
that you that like my parents would probably watch on TV. It was just oh, there's one of the scenes in there doesn't even feel right. It was just like you probably can guess the scene that I'm referring to. That lady, the it's like I'm blanking on the Wookiee's name, but he was having this
itchy.
like itchy. Yeah, what
Uh,
was the point of that? But I just it was so it felt so wrong watching that. It was just like watching.
yeah,
Ugh.
it was
It's just
very
like
questionable.
I was just like, should I be watching this? Like, where? then what world is this Star Wars? What does this have to do with anything?
Wait
There's
until
so
you
many
get
weird
into
things.
Barbara Hambly's books, like
Oh
Children
boy.
of the Jedi and Planet of Twilight. It'll be it'll be solid reading experiences. But yeah. It's completely bonkers. But as we start to rocket maybe towards the end here, is there any other aspect of Star Wars or the expanding universe that you'd like to talk about? Your journey's been uh, crazy so far. You almost left at the beginning. You've been reading through though now and finding stuff that you do enjoy, and your collection has absolutely been insane and assembled really well. And you have a YouTube channel
It's
to
gonna
talk
keep
about
growing.
this stuff as well, which is really cool. So, is there any other aspect that we haven't covered already that you'd like to talk about before we wrap up?
Ooh. Um Man, I'm put on the spot. I'm like, what do I want to say? What do I want to say? Um I there's a couple things I want to point out. One more thing about the holiday special. And then I also wanted to briefly talk about The Last Command because I really enjoyed that book. Just real briefly.
Absolutely.
Um something a really funny detail I loved is how when you're watching the holiday special the entire time you can see just how much Harrison Ford hates himself. Just especially at the end where Leia's singing and it pans over to Harrison and he's just like
Yeah, I know. It's a miracle they got him back
it's
for
just
Empire after he did Holiday Special, to be honest.
yeah, I feel like that he wouldn't have made it to Return of the Jedi, but somehow he stayed along. Actually obligated. Oh boy. That was a weird one. Um oh yeah, and I also wanted to mention The Last Command. I really enjoyed that book. That's one of my favorite recent reads that I read. Um there's so many great things about that book. I'm trying to think what's my favorite part. I mean, probably the end. I mean, I know that's cliche to say, but the end was just really good. It rhymes with the original trilogy, you know?
Yep.
The fight with Joris Sabaoth and Luke versus Luke. That was really great. That was just so awesome to read about. And Mara Jade slinging the lightsaber right through Joris, that big explosion,
Yeah.
and Mara Jade. Somebody finally has uh permanent possession of the Youngling Slayer 9000 now. So that was nice that she got to keep that in the end.
Yeah, it was.
She
It
earned
was.
it.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really cool resolution of that. What did you think of the resolution of Thrawn as well?
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up because I almost forgot about it. I almost forgot to mention this. That final quote, I was. This is a little embarrassing to say, but I mean, I'm a, my voice is pretty hyper pitched anyway, so you guys could probably imagine what it sounded like. But I legit was squealing for like a minute straight when I when the book was so good. It was just like
Yeah,
Thrawn's final quote was amazing.
it
But
warranted a
it was
squeal.
so artistically done.
It
That
was.
was just like, oh my gosh! It was just like the most epic end to a villain.
Yeah,
The arc is that character. That was the perfect ending. That was the most Thrawn thing that I have ever heard. Or that was perfect end to Thrawn. Timothy Zahn, what a legend for doing that. That was oh man. If that quote hadn't been in there, the ending probably wouldn't have been as good for Thrawn's death. But that made that so good. That quote,
yeah,
that was that was beautiful. That was a masterpiece.
definitely.
That's my new favorite Star Wars quote is that.
Yeah, it's a great quote.
So
Phenomenal. Ab-
absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on today, taking the time to come on to talk about all of this with me. Thank you for sharing your enthusiasm. Always appreciate it. Reinstills, reinvigorates my love for the universe as well. to kind of live vicariously through your experiences in the universe. It's really, really cool. So thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing your perspectives. Thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate
Thanks for
it. Of
having
course,
me.
spreading some Dawn of the Jedi hatred as always.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you. It was a pleasure as always. I'm sure you'll be back on the channel on some live stream sometime again. We've got more Essential Legends collection covers to talk about at some point.
Oh
So,
boy.
it'll be fun.
AI generated covers.
Yep,
They
indeed.
won't admit it, but I'm pretty sure they're AI generated.
Yep, that's the opinion that I have as well. And for everyone watching, thank you very much. Make sure to check out Liam's channel and his Instagram page and all that. It will be linked in the description. So head on over there, show him your support, etc. Thank you for watching. Thanks once again to Liam for coming on, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.